Okay, we are live.
All right.
All right, everybody. We'll give everybody a minute to come on here. Let's see if it starts up on mine here. All right, hey everybody. This is Tom from Rocket Restorations. I'm with Keith Noel. He runs Noel Automotive. I met Keith. I think McCacken was the first time I met you. I mean, I'm sure over in India at some point. I think that was the first time we actually met. Let me make sure we're actually live. I believe we are. Hold
Yep,
on.
it looks live. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Into my videos. There we go. Yeah, that's my brother.
Gary, code
Yep,
code
yep,
Fury talk.
yeah. That's all we're here for. Why is it not showing up on my feed? That's how I usually get comments. Mopar Sasquatch. That's Alan. Thanks for
Okay.
coming here.
Hi.
Um, Alan's a good dude. He's been helping out Jamie a lot. He's actually come out to my place the last couple weeks. He helped me move a bunch of stuff last week. So, for those that didn't see my video, I bought a NOS parts business, Inception Pass Auto Parts, a couple weeks ago, and I've been having to rearrange a lot of my shops because they're all full of stuff, and I need to make room for the NOS parts. So. Um, Hope you guys can hear me okay. I've been pretty much sick all week. I'm on the downside of the sick, but I pretty much completely lost my voice on Wednesday this week. So it's
You
kind of
sound all right. You
yeah,
sound pretty
that's
good.
good. It's coming back. So
Yep.
well,
All right.
one thing I really want to talk to Keith about is he was at the Mecum auction, and I would love to know kind of what he thought about how stuff went there and like what prices were. There was a Superbird that lost $1 million in value over a couple years. That was kind of entertaining. But Keith, I'd love to know what you think about what happened there. So
One thing that I noticed right away is so I got there on Wednesday, and there had already been several days of cars like I call it like the B list. So those kind of cars
hmm
were already selling, like $7,000 Volkswagens and stuff like that. So there really wasn't any good Mopars or Camaros or high dollar muscle cars selling until like Thursday, Friday, or Saturday. And
right.
I saw a ton of cars in the bid goes on tent. A lot of cars did not sell, and there's two sides to that. There's the I'm selling my car and I got my reserve way too high, or the prices just aren't there and the buyers aren't coughing up the money. And I don't what the actual numbers were, if Mecum actually saw a serious decline, but the amount of cars was way down from last year. So I've been going to the Indy auction for a little while, and the amount of cars was way down this year, and the amount of sales I believe was way down. So just the amount of cars that did not sell or meet the reserve was astounding. I saw a lot of cars did not meet the reserve.
And honestly, sell through rate is a huge sign of where the market's going. And sell through rates like how many go and how many sell. Because Mecum tends to allow more unrealistic reserves than some other places. Of course, Barrett has no reserve, so
Right.
everything sells there. But it's kind of interesting when a lot of cars aren't selling, a lot of cars going to bid goes on. It's just kind of a sign of the market that people are a little nervous right now. But obviously I wasn't there, but like, kind of what I've seen is like hot cars are still selling. Like there's still people with money out there, and like, Cudas, Superbirds, Chargers, they're still getting pretty good money, but um definitely that middle market, cars that aren't numbers matching, no fender tag, no broadcast sheet, they tend to be ones that are getting pretty hit pretty hard right now. So
Yeah,
um
yeah. We saw several cars that just, you look under the hood and you're like, oh my God, this car needs, the radiator cap to the no fender tag. And even that black Hemi Challenger was missing the hood latch. I mean, come on.
really,
Yeah, for real. I took a bunch of pictures and videos of it, but the hood latch was missing. And
dude.
so just so many possibly good cars were just kind of crap, and they weren't
Well,
selling.
and you definitely notice. I mean, there are exceptions to this rule, but you definitely see that Mecum and Barrett tends to be a place where dealers dump bad cars because if they're good cars, they list them on their website and they sell quick. And if they don't sell quick, they bring them to auction. So there's definitely exceptions to the rule. Like there's
Right.
always a, when Tim Welborn brings cars, they're usually good cars and they bring a premium because people know him and they bring a lot of money because people know him and he has good cars. But there's a lot of bad cars at those auctions. Like I remember I did a video on Barrett Jackson in January, and like there was a Ram Charger that got stupid money, and dude, it was missing lug nuts. Like it only had 4 lug nuts on both sides. I'm like, I looked at it, I'm
Wow.
like, really? Like seriously? Like
Wow.
how do you miss that? And then you think to yourself, well, what else did they miss? We have a lot of cars come into the shop here, and we have a rule, like if we find one loose nut, like, and the customers aren't always happy about the hours we have to put in it, but if we find like a loose nut in the suspension that's not cotter pinned, I just tell my guys we are going all the way through that car, because if there's
Yep.
one loose nut and it falls off, then we're liable for it, and I can't let a car out of my shop until I know that it's safe to leave here, basically.
Yep.
So if
Yep.
that makes sense.
Yep. So yeah, when I'm looking through all the cars, and I literally look at like 2,000 cars, over the course of a few days, and
Yep.
you can tell within a nanosecond. You yourself would be the same. You open the hood or look under the
Yeah.
hood, and you're just like, nope. If I had this thing on the hoist, I would pick it to death. And
Yep.
when they can't even get
You
the
just
radiator,
know.
yeah, when you
Yeah.
can't even get the radiator cap right, or if they painted the wiper motor gold, it's just crap. So,
Yeah.
uh,
No, I mean it's
so
pretty easy to tell I call it spray can restorations, where
yep,
it's just they just
exactly,
they make it look nice, but
yep,
you look a little deeper and they're just not that good at cars.
yep,
They just
yep.
aren't. Diecast Dream Customs found his instrument cluster. Yay! He had I don't know if you knew what Stone Soup was. It was
No,
a Lancer that was donated to him, and then he had YouTubers all across the country like working on it. So like it started out with Jamie at Dodge Garage. I put a gas tank in it. Then I went to Spokane. Then I went to Montana. Went like all the way across the country. But he's been trying to find an instrument cluster for that thing for like a year, and he finally found one. So congratulations! I'm,
what
I'm
year?
really happy for you. I found a couple out here, but
What year
no, they're all
Lancer
in
is
wrecking
that?
yards over there. They weren't selling parts. So yeah,
What year Lancer is that?
I think it was a '62. I think
Yeah, so it's
um,
super
it
hard
was a
to
body Lancer. So
right,
61 or 62. I can't remember what year it
right.
was. They're
I
basically
wonder.
the same. I just got an aluminum Slant 662. That's been a really fun car to play around with. It got sold to one of my followers, but it's a really, really neat car. So,
I wonder if you know
um,
anybody that would have a NOS uh, speedometer cluster. Hint, hint.
I don't know.
You don't even
Again, I
you
mentioned this
don't
earlier.
even
Some people, I
you
just bought this NOS parts collection, but I don't even
right.
know what's there.
You don't
I
even
went
know
through some of
yet.
the parts. Like, I have the parts list, but like, it's not searchable by car right now, and that's one thing I have to do to be able
Right.
to sell this. It's like, you know, it's just, yeah, yeah, it's gonna be a while to like get all this stuff organized. I've been basically, I'm really lucky to have great friends. I had some friends actually drive out from Utah this weekend, a 12-hour drive, just to help me move stuff because I'm a hoarder. So I have like, every shop in my bay is full with Mopar parts, which is also how I restore these things because none of these parts are available. And but yeah, they actually got one whole bay cleaned out. I had one whole bay full of signs, and we got that all cleaned out this morning, and then we're gonna do some more work this afternoon. So, but that's why I look all sweaty and hot, because I am. Um,
So, are you going to put up another building, or how are you going to go about like presenting the parts and keeping them organized? What's your
Well,
storage plan?
it's amazingly organized now, and that's why I bought the business. I wouldn't have done this unless it was. So Len Dawson, who ran this, was super organized. So basically, there's a database online with by part numbers. Then it has what shelf it's on. So I'm moving all the stuff to my shop. So I mean, I'd love to build another building, but like the permitting process in my area is insane. I mean, we're Washington, some of the legalese around here, and we have a thing called pocket gophers, and they basically won't let you build if they find them. So what I'm doing is I'm just trying to downsize a little bit. Like I'm putting up like 3-4 cars for sale this week, and bays where I was storing cars are just going to be NOS parts. But everything's on 1.5 by 3 foot shelves, metal shelves. There's 170 of them, and I'm just clearing out some bays of some used parts. I just got 2 shipping containers. I'm putting a lot of stuff in shipping containers right now too. But I'm taking my time to like organize stuff and like put it in bins. The bins labeled NOS because I've been traveling the country buying NOS parts for the last 5, 6 years now. And I have a huge inventory of NOS. And that was another reason why I bought the business, because then I can add all my NOS that I have to his organization system, because I'd never really had a chance to go through and organize my stuff. And I can kind of use his system. So everything's got a shelf, everything's got an area, and it's, I've already had to pick some parts, and it's actually pretty easy to find that stuff. So I said I'm moving some of my used stuff to shipping containers, and then some cars are getting sold, so I have more room in my shop. Because I have like 3 different buildings here, so I have like multiple places to put stuff. So just where I do the restorations, I'm not putting any NOS there, but I have multiple other bays where I'm putting stuff. So
Wow, what a logistics nightmare you're looking forward to, huh?
yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
it's a nightmare. So I made one trip up there. So my enclosed trailer's floor to ceiling full of NOS parts right now. And I'm trying to get this other bay cleaned out. And then I'll move that stuff out. But I'm making sure I don't make any trips up there until I have the room at the shop, basically. So, because that
Mhm.
way it can't be unorganized when it comes back. And literally every part he has, so he has, the shelves have 5 shelves on them. Every single box has the shelf number on each part. So that makes
Right,
it real easy when I move. So the stuff gets picked up, and then it goes back on the shelf it's supposed to, because every box is labeled on the shelf. So, um, and I have to keep that organization system, or else this just isn't going to work. So,
right,
basically,
right.
so, um, but yeah, if any of my followers don't follow Keith, it's Noel Automotive on YouTube. Again, I just met. I'm pretty sure the first time I met you was at McCacken this year. He had a beautiful AAR CUDA that he restored that was invited to the black and white formal display at McCacken, and I was there most of the weekend, so we got to hang out a little bit. And he's has a very successful Facebook and Instagram channel, and then he's just trying to get into YouTube now. I think, are you over 1,000 now? Finally, how many
I'm
subscribers do you have
about
now?
1,400 and growing.
1,400, yeah.
And
So
then
you can monetize now.
I also have 30,000 followers on TikTok under Mopar Keith.
Wow, that's crazy. So yeah, if you're on TikTok, I don't really, not really on there a lot. You can follow him too,
Right.
but he puts in the work, and he's a very good. His restorations are fantastic. So like he has a lot of detail stuff in his videos. They're finding stuff. So if you haven't subscribed to his channel, please give him a sub.
Yep.
I
So
don't think
we
I have a mod.
is what we like to call it is we do the heavy lifting, we do the metal body and paint work, um,
Yeah.
and
Yep.
then we hand it over to guys like you that'll assemble them with all the correct parts. Yep.
Nice. Yeah,
So
and
we
I'm getting away from the body paint. I don't do that
right,
anymore. It's just it
right.
was I used to have a building downtown Olympia where we did everything, and I'm trying to get away from that because we never really made money at it. So I just kind of farm out our paint and body work now, and then we do the assembly here. But we do
Yep.
used parts, new parts, and we do a little bit of everything. We sell reproduction parts. So I have a dealer's license, so we buy and sell cars too. So we do a little of everything. All right, I can get mine on comments. Let me get through a couple comments here. Andrew
Sure.
Button said, "One loose nut means 100 other things not done right," which is absolutely
Yep.
correct. Hemi cars and wing cars are unique, like Duesenbergs, to hold their own, but for the next 10 years at least, there'll be a slump in prices. I mean, we'll see. We're kind of going through a rough patch right now, obviously. Everybody's a little scared what the tariffs are going to do. I mean, I can tell you the reproduction parts are going to get more expensive because the vast majority of them are made in Taiwan. So
All my
that's definitely
sheet
going to happen.
metal.
But yeah.
Yeah, all my
Well, that's
sheet
the AMD
metal.
gets all their stuff from Taiwan. So,
Yep.
yep. I mean, all that
Absolutely.
the price on that stuff's going to go up pretty quick. So, um, love you guys. Watch you guys do an auction, Mopar by Mopar, evaluate each one. That would actually be really fun. I'm actually really good at that. The first auction videos I did really well, and I was basically like filming the auction, like doing my own commentary. But they didn't like that. I got a I got a hit on YouTube on that, so I couldn't do that anymore. But that was pretty fun. So
So if
I agree, dude.
yeah, if anyone hasn't seen it, I just came out with my top 6 picks at the Indy auction. So I picked out 6 cars, and one of them was a Chevy.
Cool.
So I got that video that just came out a couple days ago, or Thursday evening that came out. So I went through
I haven't watched
and
that. I'll try to watch that.
you know,
I was gonna try to do a wrap up video for Mecum, but honestly, I just don't have time right now. I'm in moving mode right now, and like I need to get a bunch of videos done this week, and I'll be lucky to get one done tomorrow. So I try to do at least one a week, sometimes twice a week, but I've just been so busy with this move, and I actually have help right now, so I can't really spend time doing videos when I have help. So because I need help to move all this stuff.
Yeah,
So
you take that help when they give it to you. Definitely don't turn it down.
yeah, exactly. And and
Yeah.
he brought a bunch of his kids too, so I'm paying his kids a little bit, but my buddy's helping me out. So Michael, me, I'm gonna send mine to auction soon. I believe it'll do very well. SC RT Charger. He doesn't say what year. 68, 69, unrestored, unrebuilt, unmolested, still in excellent condition. Yeah, I mean that's a good car. Chargers are still bringing huge money right now, so that should do very well at auction. Black. Wow, black interior, black top, striped elite Charger as RTSE. That's a cool car. Very cool car. John the Stripper, hello from Victoria. Thanks for watching. Appreciate it. Let's see where we're at here. Honestly, I don't know. No, I'll watch. Yeah, so a couple people subscribed to you already, so hopefully your subscriber count goes up a little bit tonight.
Oh, it will. It should.
Oh,
Yeah, that's great.
my friend's riding around my yard on my Trail 70 Honda right now. So I've got 13 acres out here. I just saw him go by the window. He's having fun right now. So um
So do you mow all
diecast
that,
dream.
or
Sorry.
do you mow all of your property, or do you just let it grow
Yeah.
up, or you mow it
No,
off?
I mow around the shops and then around the house, and then I brush hog my field. So I
Okay,
probably only use like 3 or 4 acres of my 13. The rest of it's just a big field. So
right.
if you watch, there's a Jamie from Dead Dodge Garage did an M37 video today, and he drove it out in the field, and also oiled
Okay.
my entire yard. But that's a whole nother story. But if you want to see yeah, one of the oil lines cracked. Everything rubber on that was toast. But he's got a video out in my field. If you watch his video from today, it'll show the field, and it's not been mowed yet. So generally we host a Father's Day barbecue here for a bunch of my family and my wife's family. So I'll get it mowed before then. But
Yeah. Yeah, I spent all day
hello.
doing yard work.
Yeah, no, I do. I try to do most of it myself. Every once in a while, I'll be on a road trip, and my wife will be like, "Hey, you need to hire somebody to help you." But I try to do it all myself. So I need to buy a nice zero turn though. If anybody has a nice zero turn mower in the area, let me know. I need to upgrade my mower. Okay. No automotive. Maybe we could replace the people on TV now. Yeah, I think that would be interesting. Um, I'd love to
So,
have a stock gas cap for his Lancer. I probably have one.
so back to RWB on that Charger. Was that the original paint car?
I'm not sure. I'm reading his comments.
Yeah,
Yeah, is that he said it was all original metal. I don't know if it's original paint.
yeah.
I don't
I'll
know,
tell you
RWB,
what.
if you want
Any
to.
car that has original paint and is in nice condition, original cars always bring good money.
Yes,
Well, once they start getting a
absolutely.
repaint, it takes
Yep.
away from the original, and then all of a sudden they're not a survivor. I don't know. People always call their car a survivor, but then they're repainted and the motor's been redone. And so
Yeah,
I've been
if they've been
following,
painted, it's not a Survivor. It's just
right.
not. So
I've been following your six pack Fury, and that's all original paint, right?
it's about 75%. So it's
So it's
not totally
still,
original paint. So
it would still be considered a survivor, though. I mean, as far as
I think
paint,
so. I mean,
can
it
you
really is. But
can
we're
you
gonna do
buff
the
it out?
motor like we have to. I mean,
Right,
it was stuck in.
right.
So we're gonna restore everything engine bay, but we're gonna keep everything original. Like I actually found um the uh the fender extension on the passenger side was cracked because the bumper got hit up a little bit and hit the fender extension. So we actually found an original R6 paint fender extension we're gonna put on that car. So
Oh, wow. How
we're
rare
gonna
is
end up having
that?
to paint. Sorry.
How rare is that to find it in the same color?
Extremely
That's
rare. R6 is a
right,
super rare color on those, so
right.
we got really lucky.
Wow.
Friend of mine parted out a GT like 10, 15 years ago, and it was super, super rusty R6 car. But yeah, we were really lucky. I've been trying to find a hood and a front valence and a rear valence. We haven't been able to find one, so we're probably gonna end up having to paint those. It's had some paint in one quarter. I said we're gonna have to paint the front and rear valence and the hood. It had that horrible Ford hood scoop on it, so I could not leave that on the car no matter what I did. So I could not leave
No,
that on the car.
no,
So
that thing was
it was
hideous.
awful, absolutely awful.
So
Um,
while we're talking
okay.
about that car, I saw you took the engine to the machine shop. How backed up are they? Like, does it take a month or 2 months to get an engine machined? Or
Well, so luckily my machine shop, I bring enough stuff for them where they let me cut in line a little bit, and also like if they're building the motor, they're like 6 months out.
Right.
But we do our own building. So Jamie from Dead Dodge Garage does all of our engine builds in house here.
Right.
So we basically have them do all the machine work and then give it to us, and it comes back pretty quick. So it's generally a month to 2 months to get a block back from the machine shop from our place. So
That's pretty nice. Yeah. I
yeah,
noticed
and they're
that
great, and yeah.
it's going to need bored out, isn't it? I mean, that one cylinder was pretty rusty.
Yeah, and in fact, I think what we're gonna do is it was bad enough. I just talked to the machine shop last week. I think they're actually gonna sleeve one cylinder
Oh,
because we
wow.
don't want to go over 30 on it. So he said there was enough pitting on the one cylinder where he's gonna sleeve one, and then the rest of it will just go 30. But I don't want to go 60 on the original block, so I think we're just gonna sleeve the one cylinder. Because sleeving it's not a big deal. That doesn't bother me at all. If it's done right, it's not a big deal at all. So I think we're just gonna sleeve that one cylinder. So
Yeah. I saw the main bearing still had a Dakota 69 on it.
yeah,
So
dude.
that thing's never been apart.
Dude, it is crazy. We've been taking this thing apart. There's so many like original details on that car that like you never see. Like we're taking the rear bumper off the other day because I went to the frame shop this week. I already got it back. I'm gonna do a video on that probably next week, going to the frame shop. But it was everything was very straight on the car. We had to the rear panel was where the filler was kind of like hit up on the behind the bumper there. So we had to pull that down. There's like a little bracket that mounts there. He had to straighten that out. But like the front end was like 3/16 off. I mean, like within tolerance, basically. So we didn't have to do any work on the front of that thing. It ends up being it was really straight. So I'm pretty happy about that. So
Okay. Yeah, I
but I'll
was
probably do a video on
watching.
that next week.
I was wondering what you meant by taking it to the frame shop. I didn't think the car was wrecked, but you said it. They just.
Well, it went into a ditch, so
Oh, I
that's why it
see.
was parked.
Okay.
So the owner had a few drinks one night and went out on a winter night on an icy road and ended up in a ditch. So, and it crunched the gas tank, took out the rear valance, kind of pushed the gas tank up into the rear area, like I don't know what you call that, the area behind the bumper there. And then it smashed the front valance, and then the bumper's kind of up on one side a little bit, but it was just the brackets. And it's one of those like I was like 99% sure that the frame was straight, but like I always want to check that out. Like I don't want to give before we start getting into front end work, I wanted to make sure everything was straight on that car. We just had a 70 Monaco wagon in the shop that I'm doing for a customer in Germany, and we did the whole front end and like went to align it, and then we found out that the front end was off. Like it had been in a front end accident at some point, and which was crazy because the car was all original paint, but like the stub frame was like hit on the bottom, and it was up like 2 inches on the bottom, but all the front sheet metal was fine. But we couldn't align it because the drag link was like off when we went to
Yeah.
align it. So we basically had to bring it to the frame shop, straighten it, and then everything worked out okay in it. But like I didn't want that situation again, so it wasn't worth it to me. We had to fix that rear area anyways, so we just had my guy straighten all that stuff out, and it looks really nice. So
Yeah. These unibody
I'm
cars,
pretty
they
happy with
they
that.
do not take anything. Anytime they get ditched, or I mean, you look at like the Dukes of Hazzard car, that thing folds up
Oh,
like a house of cards. So they
destroyed
just
that
can't
car.
take. They just cannot take.
Destroyed it. Yep.
Yeah. So
Well, and those
unibody
C-bodies are
cars,
subframe cars, so they're
right?
even worse. I mean, like, because
Yep.
that stub just has no strength whatsoever.
No.
I mean, it's kind of like a Camaro or a Firebird how they mounted that on there. So,
Right.
um, yep.
So, would you love to get your opinion on it? SS? Got a playlist on my channel, so I could check out your diecast dream car customs.
Yeah, that's a Stone Soup. So that
Mm-hmm.
was a very rough Lancer that went across the country. So it's a pretty cool car. Look at all those beautiful cars from the 50s, 15 years ago, how they're being sold for comparable today, every generation. I mean, fin cars will always be cool, at least in my opinion. I think they're always neat, but it's going to be like the top flight cars, like the 300F. I mean, that's an iconic car. That's like a Duesenberg, 300F and G. I mean, those are just such gorgeous cars with the big fins. Like 62H, stay away from those because there's no fin. They're called the plucked chickens for a reason. So stay away from H's. But the F and the G's will always be worth money because the bigger the fin, the more it's worth basically. And a
Yeah.
lot of that comes from Europe. The Scandinavian guys love those cars. So Sweden and Norway, they really keep the values of those cars up. They really do. So
Yeah.
how's
Yeah.
your restoration shop doing? I mean, like what kind of weight do you have right now in your shop?
Well, it kind of depends on what you want. On paint, metal paint and body, we're like 2 years out almost, like 18
Yeah.
months kind of thing.
Yep. Yep.
So we do, we've got one, two, three, we got three metal body and paint cars in the shop right now. But as a whole, we've probably got 7 cars here, and we do a lot of mechanical stuff. We do a ton of engines and electrical
Yep.
rewires, dashboards, interior suspension work. Sometimes people bring a car in like a CUDA with a gas gauge that doesn't work, just stuff like that.
Yep.
So the mechanical, so I want to say we have, the body and paint side, and that's in one building. And the next building is the mechanical side. And so the mechanical stuff we can go through, relatively fast. We might have a car, for an engine job. It
Yep.
might be here for 2, 3, 4 months. But if you want a, body and paint, you're probably going to have the car here for a year. So we
Yeah.
go through several cars a year, but it just depends on what you want. But yeah, I've been here 29 years, and we got quite a waiting list on body and paint. And that's actually where the bottleneck of the whole shop is to get a car painted so I can kick it
Yep.
over to the other building and we can start to put it together. But I do
How
everything
many?
here. And yeah, I got Chris, who's my body and paint guy. And then I got Jerome, who's my wiring and plumbing expert. So he's really good at assembly and wiring. And then I got Wyatt, who's really good with mechanical. But all the guys can do a little bit of everything. And so I
That's
just
good.
got that. And I got a high school kid that comes in and helps. And then I also got another kid. He's just graduating high school. His graduation party is actually tomorrow. And he's going to start working here this summer. And he wants to do body and paint, which is what I really need help with, is body and paint.
Right.
So we
Yep.
can only get so many cars done. I just need more help. And that's nationwide, whether you're construction or a guy doing driveways or whatever, just the
Oh,
amount of,
there's such a shortage of trade workers right
yep,
now. It's crazy.
yep.
Like if you're 18 and want to make money, start doing drywall or something like that. You will make more
Yeah.
money than you know what to do with. There's such demand for that right now.
Yeah, be a plumber, electrician, mechanics. I mean,
Seriously.
you could come working for me, and you don't need to even buy any tools. I supply everything.
Right.
Just work 40 hours, and you get a big paycheck. So yeah, I'm
Where are you
always looking
exactly?
for.
You're in Iowa, right?
Yeah, Eastern Iowa. It's right by Iowa City, which is the University of
Okay.
Iowa. So I'm
Okay.
right on Interstate 80, and everybody knows Interstate 80 pretty much. It goes from coast to
Yep.
coast. So Eastern Iowa, yeah.
Have you ever tried to like contact McPherson College and like some of their guys that come out? Like, because those they aren't that far away from you, are they?
Right. So McPherson College is actually an outlet, and then we also have some community colleges too. The thing is some of these community colleges and stuff, they're sponsored by dealerships. Like one of our local
Oh,
colleges is sponsored by
yeah.
Toyota.
Mm.
So guess what? Toyota gets
Yep.
first pick, and
Yep.
then there's, I actually know some people at Kirkwood Community College, and they've got a big body shop and collision deal, but it's all cherry picked before anyone wants to work here. But yeah, I reach out, and McPherson, I got to reach out to them, and so I don't know. But I actually just did an employment video. I was trying to shop that around, and I had a couple people that are interested, but no one's really, expressed a lot of interest. So it's just hard to employ somebody. And I don't really want
Yeah.
someone. I want to hire someone that's got some experience. And everybody
Yeah.
that's got experience already has a good job. And
Well, and
so,
that's the problem. It's like sometimes you got to bring a new person in and break them in, and then but like,
yeah.
but it's hard to keep that person, and it's you got to put a lot of effort into it to get them where you need them to be.
And I need whoever starts here, I need them to produce. I'm absolutely willing to teach, and every guy that works here I've taught, but you also have to
Hmm.
make the shop money to be a
Yeah.
viable employee. So
Right.
I can't
Right.
hire someone that doesn't know anything. But I'm to that point where I would, if you got a pulse and your arms work good, I'll put you to work.
Right. You'll figure something out.
I'll figure something out. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and if anybody, it looks like we're up to 50 people watching. If anybody has any questions for Keith or me, please put them in the comments. So we would love answering questions. We're, like a lot of times I go on Jamie from Dead Dodge Garages, and that's a lot of like, junk and engine questions. And we're kind of restoration guys. So if you have any numbers questions or restoration questions, like this is the chat to definitely ask. This is kind of what we do for a living. So,
Yeah.
do you have a commercial location, or do you just work out of your house basically?
No, I have a commercial location that I've been here 29 years, and I own
Cool.
like two properties and two big buildings and storage units and stuff like that. I got a big paint booth, and so yeah, I'm right on Interstate 80. So I thought about moving it to my house, but I've got such a big deal here and enough business and employees that I have to charge enough money to pay for the commercial lot. But
Yeah.
uh, yeah, I can't. I
What's your
don't want to
hourly
work that
rate?
amount. So that's a really good question. I'm. It's like, well, it's 110 an hour. So I just raised it to 110. 5 years ago, I was at like 68, and I've just
Yeah.
incrementally been raising it. And I keep giving my guys raises too. I don't want my guys to leave. Without my
Yep.
guys, I can't do it. So, along with employee raises, I have to raise the shop labor rate.
Yep.
And I've actually had some customers come in and tell me I'm not charging enough.
Yeah, I have to.
And I don't know what some of the other big resto shops, like you got, like Hodge Restoration or Mark Worman or Apex or what Totally Auto, what some of those shops charge or MCR. I don't know what their
It's
hourly rate is.
more.
Yeah,
More.
yeah. So finer details. I don't know what they charge, and it's not really something to advertise because it's
No.
always changing.
Yep.
Everybody's always raising their labor rates, like especially since COVID. You've seen a
Yep.
lot of things change. So since COVID, like
Yep.
nobody works weekends, and everybody wants more
Yep.
money, and
Yep.
parts are harder to get. So I don't know, but yeah,
Hmm.
110 is where I'm at. But I am going to raise the labor rate. I just have to. So
Yeah, mine's going up too, and I just need to decide when to do it. Like, I don't know if I can. I don't know if I can wait to the end of the year at this point because my costs for everything are kind of going up right now. So,
right,
um,
right.
yeah. Scott H asked, "How is the A12 market currently? Did you see any A12 cars sell at Mecum this year?"
Oh yeah, there was four of them. There was three or two Roadrunners and two Super Bs, and I
Okay.
think two of them sold and two of them didn't. I think. But you could.
Okay.
People always ask me, "What did it sell for?" Well, Mecum has a wonderful website, and it shows
Yeah.
all of the. And I mean, you've been there too. So if you really
Yeah.
want to know what a car sold for, just go to the website and you can find it.
Well,
But yeah,
it's
they had four A12 cars, and I looked all of them
yeah.
over really well.
Well, A12 cars are a very interesting market. They're very related to max wedge cars and like the Hemi race car market, like the WRO 67s and the Barracudas. And the one thing I've really noticed on those cars is so every A12 car obviously has 410s and they're hard to drive on the freeway. And the one thing I've really noticed, like 10 years ago, if I found a 70 Charger with AC, I wouldn't even buy it. Like, because I didn't want to deal with the AC because it adds so much complication to it. And it's the opposite now. And I've definitely seen this with max wedge cars. And some of that is the age demographic aging out too, because, that's kind of a previous generation, 62 to 65 versus 69 to 71.
Right,
It's a whole different generation, and we're losing a few of those guys now. But those cars suck to drive. Like, I don't know if you've ever driven a max wedge car before. I've driven a bunch. They are a hoot. Like, they are so much fun to drive. They're so much fun to take to a drag strip, but like try taking a road trip with them. I mean, they have four, five, six gears. The A12 car is the same thing. They're all 410. So unless you put an overdrive in it, which is actually a good thing to do, especially on a 4 speed, put one of those Passion Force 5 speeds in. It makes them a lot better to drive. But they just aren't that nice to drive, and that's what people want right now. People want AC right now. Everybody's getting older. Nobody wants to drive to the Mopar Nationals when it's 90 degrees with 90% humidity. They want air conditioning when they go out there. I've definitely
right.
noticed that the A12 market's softened a little bit. And I think that's a huge reason why. So they're just hard to drive it. And they're also kind of hard to work on. Like, I've had a bunch to the shop. I've got Really good customer of mine. We just kind of rotate his cars in and out. Right? I always have one of his cars in here we're doing work on and stuff. I'm sure you do the same thing. You get
Yep.
customers with collections that you're just always there's always something. He's got like 10 cars. There's always something to do on one of them. Um, but they kind of suck to work on because like trying to take that hood off by yourself, like there's no hood hinges. You know, like I could have to like grab the scoop and like then you got to find a place to put it. Like you got to put sawhorses out or like put a blanket on the roof and put it on the roof. But like they're actually kind of hard. You got to figure out what to do with the roof on them, with the hood on them too. You know, it's just one thing I've noticed on A12 cars.
It's
So
kind of like shaker hood cars. They're cool and everything, but
yeah,
if you really want to, you can't even adjust the idle with the shaker bubble on there. And
yeah, yep,
so if it's a six
yep,
pack car or whatever, so we actually have a set of small air cleaners that I can put on, like if I'm doing a test and tune or something.
that's
And
nice.
I'll just
Yeah,
keep that bubble
yep,
off until the car is done
yep,
because it's just cosmetic.
yep,
And
yep.
can you imagine every time you want to adjust the idle, you got to pull the cables, unbolt
Yeah.
everything, and pull.
Oh, it's
So
awful. It's
yeah,
so much work
yeah,
to take
so
that stupid bubble.
yeah, so a lot of that, the A12 hood and the shaker bubbles and all that, it's all sales gimmicks. So I don't
Yeah,
know.
it was. And I mean, and shaker cars will always be popular. In fact, we've got a 1970 Challenger 446 back in the shop right now, RTSE red. And we're going to put it up for sale soon. We're going to sell on consignment for a customer. Factory shaker car. And that adds a bunch to a Challenger because there's so much rarer. But like, it's really funny. We have another six pack Challenger in the shop we've been working on forever, six pack 4-speed car. But the funny part on that car, so the owner bought it in '79 when he was 15 years old, and he's owned it ever since. And he drag raced it and beat the heck out of that car. But the previous owner in '77 got so sick of dealing with the shaker setup on it, he traded the entire shaker setup straight up for a Bulge hood in 1977.
Wow. Yeah, I could see it
Yep,
though. And I've
yep,
heard stories of the guys with the A12 cars where they would just throw them. They would just take the hood off and throw
yep,
it in the yard. And that's why a lot of
yep,
them have busted corners on them because people would just throw
yep,
them. So,
yep.
um, Diecast Dreams says Warman charges extra for the dance. So I wonder, do you have any idea what he charges per hour? I mean,
I don't. From what I've heard, I've talked to several people who've done restorations there. Again, I've obviously never done a restoration with him. I do my own restorations, but he kind of flat quotes cars, which is something I never do. So I mean, he'll
right.
say it'll be like $100,000, so like it won't be a flat rate. But keep in mind, like he has so many sponsors, like that's included because I mean a huge part of the restoration is the parts and the component restoration, and he has so many sponsors on the show that he doesn't have to pay for that. So like when he gives a flat rate, he's not paying for parts or labor on a lot of that stuff. So that in that on a restoration that could be $100,000 restoration, which is pretty easy to do on any muscle car. Very easy
Yep.
to do. Get up to $100,000 restoration for a good restoration is going to cost you at least that much on a muscle car. That takes out he makes another 20-30% off that because he's not paying for the parts to the vendors because they're all sponsors of the show. So.
Yeah,
Um, It'll be interesting to see if they come back because Motor Trend's kind of dying right now. So, and
it
I haven't
is.
seen a new season in a while from him. So I'm kind of wondering if he's coming back or not. But
I see a lot of his YouTube stuff pops up on my feed, so I don't really watch it. I'll
what's
maybe click in and watch like a minute, and then now he's got cartoons and stuff. So
what's
I don't
really
know.
crazy to me is like, so I mean, like my channel, like I have 12,800 subscribers right now, and like my average video is 5,000 to 10,000 usually. I mean, he posts videos where he gets like 500 to 1,000 views, and he has like 100,000 followers. Like I don't know how the math works there, but I think that's kind of funny. But well, a lot of people don't know he produces all of his own shows. That's why he's
Yep,
never been canceled. That's why they've never done it because it's a very small investment for them. So most of the shows like Roadkill, the Motor Trend was paying for all that. So all the road trips, all the people, all the editing, all that stuff. Like Motor Trend has to pay for all that up front, and then gets the money back on commercials later, and then on syndication. They sell commercials
right.
on that stuff. But Mark pays for all that himself. So he gives
Yeah,
them a done show. He has his own in-house production company. So like that's why he's been around so long because the channels don't have to put anything out before for his TV show. So
right.
um So it wouldn't surprise me if they keep him around. But again, I haven't heard anything on new season, so I don't know if they're going to be back or not. But I mean, I watch it. You know, I feel like I should be watching that show because it kind of tells me what's going on in the Mopar hobby. Because he's obviously, agree or disagree or like him or not like him. He's pretty influential in the hobby. So I still watch the show. So
Yeah, people have asked me what I think about him, and like you said, like him or love him or hate him or whatever, you got to give him a shout out because he's the only Mopar show out there. There's a lot of us that do like Mopar YouTube or whatever, but he's the only guy that's on TV. And
well, and he built that from scratch. Like
he
he did
did.
all that himself. He took on all that risk. And as I was saying with the production, he took on all that risk himself and did all that work. And more props to him. And I've met him before. It's an act. Like he takes himself off of the guy from the British Office. I mean that's his act. Like I mean like. It's a TV show. It's entertainment. Like he's not really that way in real life. That's just the way he is on TV. So,
Have you met
um,
him personally?
yeah, I've met him a couple times. Yeah, he was
Okay.
up at a car show up here, and I stopped by the shop one time. So, there was a car show at a local casino up here, and they paid for him to come up, and my buddy was kind of running the show. He was the head groundkeeper of the golf course at the casino, so he went up there, was at the show, and I met him up there. So I actually ended up buying the graveyard cars. This was on the TV show. They had a '70 Cuda Grand Coupe. They got like three Cudas traded in for like one restoration or something, and then they donated that Cuda to the casino, and they have it. They made it a giveaway car for 2 years. But you could take
Wow.
like $20,000 of the Cuda, and the person took the money twice. So the car was just like sitting outside in the container out the back of the casino. So I ended up buying it from the casino a couple of years later or so.
Wow.
I just thought that was funny.
Yeah. But yeah, he started out by taking VCR tapes of his videos to the local network, and we're asking if they would put his videos on TV. So he was doing that back when
Huh.
people were doing camcorders with VCR tapes. So he
Interesting.
started a long time
Hmm.
ago. But yeah, he owns his own
Yep.
production company, the whole deal. So uh, yeah, whether you
Yep.
like his
Yep.
dance act or not, he's still got it going on. So.
Yep. David Rademacher commented. David's a good friend. I helped him get a, 67 Belvedere 1 from a wrecking yard that was going to crush it out a couple weeks ago. He says, my kink is 66, 67 B bodies. The market on those is weird. I don't have them for their future value, but what are you seeing the market do in the future? Those are interesting cars. So I don't know if you ever watch Uncle Tony, but he's very famous
Yep.
for saying that, like that, the 66, 67 is like the pure Mopar. And I completely agree with him. Like that's a totally unique design. They didn't rip off GM. That's a very Mopar design. Like you see the 68 Charger and it's a 67 Chevelle. I mean, like you look at it, like, I mean, the flying buttresses and like the Coke bottle and all that stuff. Like those are very unique, but you know, there's no cartoons, there's no Roadrunner, there's no Super Bee. They had the RT in '67, which is why '67s are worth way more than '66s.
Right.
But I
There's
don't know.
no.
I'm not really sure where the market's going on those, but it's like it's always been a little soft on those cars. So
Yeah. Yeah. And 68 is when they started with all the gimmicks, all the sales gimmicks with the
yep,
road, starting with the Roadrunner and
and
so
that's what
on.
people want, and that's what people like.
Yep. Yep.
You know. Obviously, there was RTs and GTXs and '67s, so they're always worth more money. The other thing too is like a lot of people don't realize this. Like they made in '66, they made more '66 Hemi cars in '66 alone than '67 to '71 combined.
Oh,
So
wow.
like, there's a lot of '66 Hemi cars, a lot of them.
Well, I mean, that's the most popular engine is they cast more 66 Hemi blocks than any other, right? I mean,
Yep.
they
I mean,
pump, that's why so many cars have a 66 dated block.
yep. Well, there are no, as far as I know, there's no '67 cast Hemi blocks. Like they made so many
Okay.
'66s, it took them all '67 to use them
Right.
up, and they started recasting them again in '68. So,
Right.
in fact, I just looked at a Hemi down in California coming back from the Spring Fling Car Show, and it was out of a '68 Roadrunner, had the VIN on the back, and it was a '66 cast motor. It was like it was like June of '66 or May of '66, but it was a '66 cast motor and a '68 Roadrunner, which is kind of cool. So.
Is that's the one that you bought?
No, different one.
Oh, okay.
I different guy at the show. That's the guy I bought a bunch of stuff from him at the show. I got some restored pistol grips and some other stuff. But no, the motor was a different guy. So, but he had two Hemi motors that I'm trying to buy right now, but he hasn't given me a price on them yet. So,
Yeah. What'd you say you bought? You paid like $4,500 for it or something?
yep. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's a good
Yeah, if
deal.
you watched Jamie from Dead Dodge Garage did a autopsy video on it on Wednesday last week for his engine Wednesday. So if you want to see what was wrong with it, and it was a lot, which is funny. I keep on teasing him. He wants to buy that block from me, so he does a video on like every problem with it. So I'm gonna list that block. It's gonna, like everyone's gonna see all the problems with it, because he wants to buy it, I
Right.
think. So
Well, I had a window in the side of it, didn't it?
it did, but it was pretty well fixed. So yeah, it was a.
Yeah.
I've had a lot of windowed Hemi blocks lately.
Right.
It wasn't a bad window. So the biggest problem with that block is the dowel pins were off. So the cylinder head on one side wasn't straight. So it
Really?
actually, the pistons were actually hitting the head on one side because the head was off to one side, like just a hair. It was actually hitting.
Was
So
it like a core shift problem or what caused that to
I
be
don't
off?
know. I'm really not
Okay.
sure.
Okay.
But I think we've seen this before. In fact, we're doing a 70 Hemi Cuda engine right now. We're doing an engine rebuild on one of those, a 70 Hemi Cuda, and we had the same thing. So the heads we had were cracked. It wasn't badly cracked. It was like just right around the spark plug hole, which is super typical on those, especially if it was ever run top fuel. And we decided Scott Smith in Spokane, Harms Automotive Disc
Right.
Restorations, had a really good set of heads. So we used those heads, but they've been decked. So it was the same thing. So Jamie started putting that Hemi motor together, and then we caught it, obviously before we put it together, but it was off one way, just a hair, and we had to put offset dowel pin. So maybe it was core shift, maybe it was decked. It's hard to say. So those motors, it's so hard to find like a virgin Hemi motor anymore. They've all been
Oh
raced and
yeah.
blown up. So it's like you just never know what you get between decking, between was it top fuel, was it O-ring? Like it's hard to figure out what you're getting anymore with that
Yeah.
stuff. So
I had one once and I had Hughes Engines do a sonic test on it, which showed that it had a core shift. I think it was like a -8. So if you look at the chassis number and they have like -1 to -10,
yes,
and
yep,
that's the core. And the
yep,
core had shifted. It was still a good block, but from a sonic test, you could tell that one side of the block was thicker than the other.
that's
So
funny.
yeah,
On a Hemi block or
yeah.
440.
No, it was on a Hemi block.
Wow,
Yep.
I've never seen a Hemi block with that high of a number on it before.
A
I think I've
dash
seen a
10.
three. Most Yeah,
Yeah.
I've never seen it that high on a Hemi block before.
I'm pretty sure that's what it was. It was a high number. It wasn't like a one or two. It was a higher up number.
Right. And by the way, I'm sure some people on here don't understand what we're saying. So when you get a Chrysler block, it has the casting number on the side, like 278, blah, 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 blah. It has a dash and a number on the end of it. What that number means is how many times they used the mold basically for the casting. So
Yeah.
like I've seen slant sixes that have like dash 16, and you get like
Oh,
huge core shift because you're using the same cast, and stuff can just move if you use it. The vast majority, like any max wedge block, any Hemi block you see, most 340 blocks, you hardly ever see it more than one, two, or three on those. Big blocks, it's super common to see 8 to 10. Slant six blocks, they use those till they died because they didn't care, they were cheap. But that's what we mean by the dash on the back. So, and Keith's just saying he saw one with like a -8 on it, and that's actually I've never seen a Hemi block with that high of a number actually before. So that's interesting. I've never seen that before.
yeah. But yeah, it was still usable, and it was bored 60 over, and I ended up never building the engine. I sold it. It was actually a Nichols racing engine, and a guy that was doing a
Oh, that's
NASCAR
cool.
actually bought it, and I guess he's got it running. I haven't talked to him for a few months, but an actual Nichols
That's cool.
racing engine.
Do you know what chassis it was in or what team it was for? Did you ever figure that out?
No, I actually have the guy's phone number. I want to reach out to him and find out because I owned the engine for like 5 years and I never had the money. And this guy found out I
Hmm.
had it, and then he told me he was building a stock car, and so we made a deal, and he paid me some pretty good money, so it went over to him. But I think he got it
That's funny.
running.
I had a Hemi wedge a few years ago. Super cool. It was a petty block. So when they got rid of the Hemi, which was like 72, they could still run big blocks. But what they would do is they would use Hemi blocks and then convert them to wedge heads, which isn't super hard to do on those. So they called them Hemi wedges, but it was actually an original petty block from 72, 73. but it had a Hemi bottom end, but it had like Maurice Petty was like stamped in it, like he'd built that block. It was pretty cool. So I've seen a few of those over the years.
Yep.
Those are neat. Jason Cleveland asked, "What does a Hemi block go for these days with a 1966 casting date?" That is a very loaded question because the problem anymore is finding clean Hemi blocks, and it really depends on condition because you can have anything from a top fuel motor that's been blown up 10 times with cracks, with windows, like those can be worth, $500 as a table, but if you found like an NOS, virgin block that's like original bore with no cracks, and it's super important if you're selling a Hemi block, like you've got to have a clean bill of health of a mag from a machine shop, or else you're just not going to get any money for it because like no one's going to buy that block without knowing it's good. But that an NOS block could be up to $10,000. So it's like it's kind of somewhere in between. I just bought at the Spring Fling Car Show. I just bought a Hemi block for $4,500, and it had heads, rockers, crank, pistons, rods, oil pan, windage tray. I mean that was a good deal, but that's what you can buy pretty much a complete block for. And it was, I didn't have a mag test for it. It was windowed but repaired, and it was running a couple weeks before. I could tell from the oil in it that it was running fairly recently. So just to kind of give you, again, it's kind of hard. The thing about Hemis too is like all the parts are expensive. So it's like, okay, what do you want for a Hemi motor? Okay, well, does it have exhaust manifolds? Original manifolds are $2,000. Reproductions are 1,000. Does it have heads? There's $1,500, $2,000 if they're good and mag tested and don't have any cracks. If
Rocker
they do,
arms and
then they're worth
rocker
way less than
shafts.
that. So it's like, do they have carburetors? 66 carbs are 1,500, 71 carbs are $4,000. So it's like it's really hard to put a value on it. You need more information to be able. There's not like you can't just put a price on something. You need to know what the condition is and how complete it is and how much is there. So
Yeah, I saw Scott
um,
Smith just had a set of NOS heads redone. Did you see that?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
So he said he had like a
dude.
mild port job or something on him, just real mild. Didn't have to go wild or anything. But
I'm
yeah.
telling you, man, that guy has like one of the best secret stash collections of Hemi parts of anyone I know. I think Steve Atwell's got him beat, but man, he's got some stuff there. Like he bought out a collection in Kentucky where he got like I think he got 30 sets of heads from there or something like that.
Oh my
Um,
God.
but the funny part is he had every one of them mag tested. There were two sets of those 30s didn't have cracks.
Oh wow.
Yeah. And that's what we're dealing with. So like it's so hard to find a virgin set of heads, and you can't even buy iron heads right now. The only heads you can get are aluminum ones right now. So that's why the original iron heads are worth so much money if they're not cracked, because you can't buy cast iron heads right now. All you can buy is aluminum heads, which if you're doing just a build and don't care, it's great. You save a bunch of weight, get more detonation tolerance, but but I don't know. So all right. Well, if you're just joining, this is Keith from Noel Automotive. He's in Iowa, a restoration guy. So
Yep.
we're kind of on the same wavelength here. We kind of do very similar things, do car restoration, and he's trying to build up his YouTube channel. So if you haven't subscribed to his channel, it's Noel Automotive. I highly recommend you go on there. And if you're watching on Keith's channel, subscribe to my channel, so
Right.
Rocket Restoration. So
So one thing I'm not
yep.
ever going to do is I'm not going to buy an NOS parts collection. So I'll probably just stick to painting cars.
Well,
So I'll leave
yeah,
that up to you.
Yeah, well, I've been dealing with a lot of estates lately. There's a lot of that, and Len was 90, so I mean,
Yeah.
he kind of contacted me and gave me kind of a crazy number, but it's like they don't make this stuff anymore, and with the tariffs and everything, I'm seeing less reproduction parts in our features. So I think it's important to be able to save these NOS parts collections and make sure they don't end up in a trash bin. So but yeah, I bought myself a lot of work buying this NOS parts collection, buying Len Dawson. So it's gonna be
Well,
a
I hope
lot of
it works
work.
out for you. So
Yeah, me
once you get
too.
that up,
Trust
once you
me.
get that up and running, to look for a part, well, I need to know the part number.
Right now, yes, but what I'm trying to
Okay.
do is I'm trying to get it onto a website where it's gonna be searchable by keyword. So like I know a couple of big NOS guys, they have all their inventory online and they do it and they list all the cars that it fits. So that's my goal, is to be able to have it to that point. But right now, no, you can't do that right now. But I was going through lenses, just through one box of lenses today, and I mean there was 71 CUDA lenses in there. So I mean, everyone's like, oh, it's all 4-door and C-body stuff. Like, there's still a lot of good stuff in there. I mean, he said he had everything inventoried, but I don't think those are on the website. So I need to start going through these boxes and make sure nothing's missed on there. It's not on the website, not listed, so I can actually sell the stuff.
Yep. So
Yeah, I mean,
yeah,
it's yeah. My brother just commented like, one thing we've been doing is I have an old Chrysler dealer list from 1970. So I always travel when I travel the country, go to like Minnesota or the Nats or something. We always would stop by these small towns trying to buy something. And a place we stopped at like 5 years ago, I just saw a Facebook post on that, and they just threw away 15,000 pounds of NOS parts in their attic. Just threw it in the dumpster.
that's a shame.
That's the kind of stuff that keeps me up at night.
Right, right. So one thing, we missed each other at the Dubuque Mopar show in Iowa, and we must have just passed each other without even noticing. But you said
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah.
you were in
Yeah.
Iowa buying parts from a dealership up by Dubuque, Iowa, maybe or something like that. That was
I
two or three
was, yeah.
years
We
ago.
cleaned out, yeah, I cleaned out a completely virgin inventory of NOS, which never happens. Like, you never find,
Yeah,
everybody's been through this stuff, but this dealer was crazy. So when but we do a bunch of research before the trip, so we have all the addresses of all the dealers. And by the way, if anybody ever needs help with like finding a dealer or a dealer number, I have the list. I have two different lists. I have one from 69 and one from 71. And if you ever need help with a dealer number or something like that, I'm glad to help you out. I'm not sharing the list, but but yeah, if anybody needs individual help. But what we do is we look up the address, go into Google Maps, and then, like, look at the building. Okay, are they still in the same location? Is it still, looks like there's something there? If it's been trying to do a bank or like a fitness studio, like, it's not worth trying to stop by there because there's going to be nothing. But what's crazy about this dealer is we're looking at the street view on the dealer. Dude, you could see the NOS parts through the window.
oh
Like, you
wow.
could see the racks to the window of the NOS parts. I've never seen that before. I was like, dang. But they were a bankruptcy dealer in 79, and the guy who ran the dealership was just a hoarder. He never sold anything. And it was all still there. So we stopped by there, talked to the son, and the dad's like, yeah, I'm like 80. It's time to sell stuff. But like, dude, we've cleaned out like, probably 30, 40 dealers over the last couple of years. And like, that's only the second or third time I've ever gotten to a place where it's completely virgin. Like, no one had ever been in there before. Because like these big NOS guys like hit all these dealers in the 80s and 90s and cleared out all the E body and B body parts. And so most of what you find is C body stuff. You find a lot of mechanical stuff, which is valuable to me, like original turn signal switches, dimmer switches, like I mean, the reproduction stuff doesn't work that well with that stuff. I love having NOS stuff of that. We actually found an NOS hood tack in the attic, like a factory hood tack, like one of the GTO ones. NOS in a box up in the attic of that place. The guy apparently had a 340 Duster, so right before they closed down, like, he bought every NOS part for a 71 340 Duster, like NOS shark tooth still in the box. Like, that's the kind of stuff we were finding at that place. But yeah,
Right.
that was a stop after that, and I bought a 57 Plymouth convertible in another dealership a couple towns over from that too. But it was kind of in the Iowa, South Dakota area up there in the corner up there. So
Yeah,
there's some good stuff in
you
that
bought
one.
that stuff right out from under my nose, and I didn't even know about it. Yeah, and
Well, no one knew about this
I
place. Like,
know.
I mean, Brad Harms was like 20 minutes from this place, and he'd never heard of it. So
Yeah,
it was pretty neat. So,
yeah.
um,
But yeah, you were at the
yep,
Dubuque show, and I saw your video. You were filming Bill Ament's Green Survivor AAR. And I'm like,
yeah,
holy
that was a cool
shit!
car.
You could see
Yep,
some of my cars in the background of your video. So somehow we
right.
just missed each
Yeah.
other. That was pretty
Oh, I'm
crazy.
sure. Yeah, we were both there, but I didn't
Yeah,
know you at the time. So
right,
it's kind of
right.
cool. So,
Yeah.
uh, David asked, "Are you still shuttling parts from his place?" Oh yeah, Dave. I made one load. It's going to be probably 10 loads. Len is 140 miles from me, but I have to cross Seattle, which is like this Rubicon that no one wants to cross because the traffic's so horrible. So it's like 2.5 hours each way up there. So I made one trip. There's 170 shelves. They're 1.5 by 3, and then there's 40 tubs, like 3 feet wide, just full of trim that have to get out of there. And then there's like a whole bunch of bumpers and stuff. So I got 17 shelves in the first trip. So do the math. It's going to be a few trips to get all the stuff down here. So
So I see someone asked, it's like Galen Govier in the 80s. He called and asked if I had codes for A bodies. Have you ever talked? Do you know Galen at all?
yeah, I know him pretty well. In fact,
Good.
when I was in I did a cross country road trip in '03 with my gold 72 Washington State Patrol Polara, the first car I ever restored. And we actually like stopped by Galen's place and carpooled with him to Carlisle that year in the cop car.
Okay.
They had like a cop car invitation there and actually like road trip with him. So yeah, I've known Galen for a long time. So
Cool. Yeah. Yeah. He's been down here. I've known him since like the early 2000s. And the first time I met him, he helped Tim Wellborn buy the 71 Hemi pilot car Charger from my friend Doug Swales in Iowa City, Iowa. And that's
cool.
when I first
Nice.
met Tim Wellborn, and I met Galen. And we've been friends ever since. And, he lives just over in Wisconsin, which is just real close to where I am. And he's been to my shop a few times, and he was just down here last year. He documented a few cars for us.
Nice.
And then I see him at the shows and stuff too. He still tries to do swap meets. He's got a stash of parts that no one really knows about. And he'll load up his pickup truck and just try to sell a couple tables worth of stuff.
No, I saw him at McCacken this year, which I hadn't seen him there in a while. And dude, he was pulling out all this crazy stuff. Like a lot of cars, when you put taillights in, they have studs through the back. Like he had like all the caps for that. I mean, he was pulling that stuff out of wrecking yards 30, 40 years ago. He knew how hard that stuff was to find, and nobody makes that stuff right now. He had some like the valve stem extensions for trim ring cars. Like he's got boxes and boxes of that stuff because he was smart. He knew how hard that would be to find now, and he saved all that stuff.
Yep.
So
one time he come down here and he had just a few boxes of parts, and we kind of traded some stuff, and he just pulled out like a Charger padded ashtray. He's like, "Hey, you want this?" And he's just got all that cool stuff that you can't find. But,
he had that really cool 68 Hemi Coronet. It was a 440 car. He's sold that since then, but it was a Coronet 440, not a Super B or RT in 68. That was an interesting car.
It was that blue one, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Yeah. So
when I was there in '03, I remember seeing that.
So interesting. At one of our Dubuque Mopar shows, he had that car out, and it was like the night before the show. So there's like a little cruise kind of thing where everybody, there's Camaros and Chevelles and Mustangs, and everybody just kind of does a little car cruise around town. And Galen had that Coronet out, and he did a little burnout, or he squealed his tires or something, and he got pulled over. And I ended up talking to him later, and he didn't get in trouble, but he had, he wears glasses. So he got, I don't know if he got a warning or a fine, but he was not supposed to drive at night or something. But yeah, the cops were kind of watching the car cruise, and he did a little tire squeal with his Coronet. And, but yeah, shortly after that, he did sell the car.
Interesting. Yeah.
Hey, there's Mike from Muscle Car Syndicate. So Mike, his handle is Muscle Car Syndicate, and he's from Mitchellville, Iowa. And he is what his name is. He knows everything about like everything. So Oldsmobiles, Mustangs, Torinos. So he's a good friend of mine, and so cool.
Welcome to the chat, Muscle Car Syndicate.
Yeah,
check out his channel.
Yeah. So if you're into, I mean, he's a Mopar guy, but he knows a lot of information. I give him shit. He knows a lot of useful information about nothing. But
I try to stay in my lane. Like I dabble a little bit, but I really try to stay in my lane.
Yep. He's got a 69 Dodge 100. He's got a Cutlass. He's got a 383 Challenger. And then we know all the Mopar guys from here in Iowa. So
cool. I just subscribed to your channel, Muscle Car Syndicate. So
sweet.
Yeah, we said we're gonna do an hour, but we're doing pretty good. So I'll hang around for a little bit. I think dinner's gonna be ready pretty soon. I just saw my son riding the motorcycle around in front of my window. So apparently everybody's getting rides on my motorcycle around my property right now. So
perfect.
I'm doing
this. Every time I watch you and Jamie, you guys almost do 2 hours, and you're always like, dinner's getting cold.
Jamie always does too, and it's like, I don't know. The problem with me is I usually have a beer with him, and then I usually have to pee by an hour and a half, and then I'm like, okay, I gotta either get off or do whatever. So.
Yep.
But they haven't gone inside yet. We're making my friends brought some brisket up from Utah. He smoked, so it sounds delicious for dinner. So
so if you're watching, subscribe to Noel Automotive or Mopar Keith 1. subscribe to Tom at Rocket Restorations. Go over to Muscle Car Syndicate and check him out. Mike is also on Instagram and Facebook under Muscle Car Syndicate.
Yeah, you're up to 1,420 subscribers. Looks like. Just looking at your channel right
Yeah,
now.
Mike is just a little bit ahead of me. Last I checked, he was like at about 1,500, but he's had his YouTube channel for a little bit longer than me, and I've always just been like Facebook and TikTok. Yeah, thanks, Mike. But
Yeah, I kind of got serious about a year and a half ago. I mean,
yep,
Jamie from Dead Dodge Garage started his channel and like took off, and like, and we were helping each other a lot. Like he did a lot of videos. Like I was finding like barn find chargers and stuff, and he was doing really really well with that. And he's really put the effort into his channel. I mean, it's his full time job now to do that. And I kind of decided, I'm doing cool enough stuff to do it. And then I kind of got a big boost. I did one on my 72 Gold 72 Polar. I did really well. Then that the 6 barrel, V Code 70 Sport Fury GT we did, that was, I think we're at 165,000 on that right now. I picked up like
nice.
2,000 subscribers just in that one video. It was pretty neat. So,
So
that
you've
really kind of
made
supercharged my
so
channel.
you made like $200 on YouTube money.
No, I made like $1,000 off that video, I think.
Nice.
So, that was actually because I mean, I make money off YouTube, but it's not a lot. Like, I know a lot of guys like just Mopar Joe, who Keith did a live with him. He started a membership program. I've actually had people ask me to do that, but like, and I may do that soon. But I'm just trying to like figure out what I can add to people for membership. So, because it's like I'm not a full time YouTuber. It's not what I do. So it's
Yeah.
I mean, I enjoy doing YouTube. I haven't like made money off YouTube, but I've gotten a lot of leads from YouTube, like that 65 Chrysler 300L convertible factory 4-speed car, one of 12. That was somebody found that from the video. The six pack Fury GT. Guy saw one of my McCacken videos. I did a video on a 1970s Ford Fury GT black car there. He saw that video. That's how I got that job. So it's like it's helped to the business definitely, but like as far as making money off YouTube, like there's very few people who actually move the needle on YouTube videos. So, and the volume I'm doing doesn't move the.
That's a Uncle Tony thing. He moves the needle every time he has a live. I
Yeah,
mean,
he
he's
definitely
got the
does.
people. Yeah, no one's gonna touch him. So yeah,
Dude,
Mike,
well, I mean,
I forgot about Mike. He has a 71 Charger too. So
oh, cool.
you
Yeah, I actually made $1,200 off that video, so that's pretty good. So,
nice.
that's by far the best video I've ever, like by far the best I've ever done on a video. So, that's just because that one went viral. It's at 168,500 views, so that was a good one. So, all right.
I got a question here from Ben Braddock. What do I do with the VIN label on the door, and how do you prep around it? So there's a couple ways to go about it. You can just basically try to save it. If you peel it off, it's just ruined. Or you could just take a picture of it and fully document the car and contact ECS, and they will remake a new label for you. So that's what we've done a lot, is just have ECS make us a new label. And then ECS also does the VIN rivets and the VIN decal. So if I have to restore a dash, I'll just use ECS for all that stuff. They do a really good job on that. And they're authorized by Chrysler too. So it's not like you're doing anything illegal. And man, that's a whole nother subject right there. It's like restoring the VIN and pulling the VIN off the dash and all that. And it's totally legal to do. And like I said, ECS is authorized to do that. And they're also authorized to do GM and Ford labels on brand new cars. So we've done some collision work, and if we need a new label for under the hood, ECS is also totally legal and authorized to do labels. So ECS is the place. They're also the ones that built. They're also the ones that built the 4-door CUDA. So if you know about the 4-door CUDA, so ECS is the guy Tom Weldon. Is the one that built that thing.
Yes, he's since passed away, but the company's still going. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. All right. Well, it's 6:08. I think we're gonna wrap this thing up. So I really appreciate
Sure.
everybody's comments. Thanks everybody for coming on. This was fun. I've enjoyed this. It's crazy how fast these go by. Like you just kind of look up and it's an hour later, and you're like, wow, what happened to what happened to the day? But
Yep.
it's pretty cool. So I just want to thank Keith for coming on with me. I'm Tom from Rocket Restorations. I'm assuming most of you are
Yep.
subscribed to my channel. If you're on here, Grandice Junk from Down Under just came on. Very cool. Thanks for coming on there. And I'm with Keith Noel from Noel Automotive. If you haven't subscribed to his channel, please do. He's got some great Mopar content. He was just at Mecum. He got a bunch of videos from down there. It's a good place to get content.
Yep.
Jeff Militich. But I just got here. Sorry, we said
Uh,
5 to 6. So sorry.
it depends on where you're at in the country. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Oh,
getting kind of late for the East Coasters. It's 9:09 back there, but it's still light
yeah.
here. So I'm gonna go eat
Right.
some beef brisket and go move some more parts to get ready to move NOS parts in my
Yep.
shop. So, um,
I also
nice.
shot
So
some video of that of this rusty 71 Polara, and I bought the three cars, but when I saw that Polara, I was thinking about you the whole time. I'm like, man, I wonder if Tom needs any parts off of that.
thing was so
So,
bad,
oh my
so
God, it's
bad.
so bad. Yeah. So you're the C body guy. So whenever I see a C body, you're the man for that.
No,
So
I appreciate it. The thing is, like, I actually don't have many. I don't have many Dodge C bodies. They're all Plymouths, and I don't know why.
yeah.
I don't like have anything against it. I've
Yep.
got I've got my 72 Polara. It's Dodge, obviously. I got a 73 Polara, but Washington State Patrol used 69 and 70s. So like that's always what I've had. I've got a 70 Fury, Washington State Patrol. I've got like 5 68 Sport Furies. 3 of them are 4 speeds. This is kind of what I ended up with. So our Rooster just came on too. Sounds like everybody's going on right when we're coming off. So good timing.
Right. Yeah.
Rooster's in Minnesota. I've stopped by his place a couple times. So um
Rooster, are you
all right,
going
well
to
guys, I think we're
the?
gonna sign off here.
Yep. Is Rooster, are you going to the Mopars in the Park next week? So that's in Minnesota. That's our big national Mopar event. So,
Yeah, I haven't missed that in like 5 years. I'm not going this year, so I just got too much going on here with the
yep.
whole like NOS parts business. It's that's a 2 week trip for me. I just can't do it. I don't have that much wavelength right now to be able to go there. So
Yeah. All right.
so
Well, I know you got to get going. Your supper's probably getting cold now.
yep. All right, guys. Thanks everybody for coming on. We'll talk to you guys soon. Okay.
Thanks,
All
Tom.
right. Bye.
All right. Bye.